Hi, everybody. This is Bob Gale, co-creator of Back to the Future, and you're listening to Brad Gilmore.
Doc! Okay, relax, Doc. It's me. It's Martin.
No, it can't be. Just sent you back to the future.
Yeah. Oh, I know you did send me back to the future, but I'm back. I'm back from the future.
Great Scott.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Whoa, this is heavy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back to the Future, the podcast, the only podcast looking back in time at the greatest film trilogy of all time, Back to the Future. I'm your friend in time, Brad Gilmore. As is tradition here lately for Season 10, I've been on a bit of a hiatus, working on a really fun project from the year 1989. And I'm really excited to talk about that more as it gets there. But recent tradition is anytime I have a celebrity interview or a celebrity guest, I always try to work Back to the Future into the conversation. This one is no different. I had the opportunity to talk to Bill Maher. Bill Maher, who is a, I guess polarizing would be an appropriate word. Very outspoken politically. But I was able to speak to him because he had a stand-up show coming here to the Houston, Texas area, and he did an interview, or on his podcast, or had a conversation with Seth MacFarlane from, Ted and Family Guy, places like this. And he, in that interview, revealed something about Back to the Future, he being Bill Maher. And I asked him about that, and of course, the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. Just wanted to bring you an extra nugget here. And also, I will say it's funny how the universe works, because it was posted on her Instagram, so I don't mind revealing that at the end of this month, I have a nearly hour-long, I believe, interview with Leslie Zemeckis, a documentarian and filmmaker, and also married to Robert Zemeckis, who obviously created or co-created this lovely movie that we all know and love. So anyway, look out for that later on this month. I'll post it here on this feed as well, because she has a new documentary coming out called Grand Horizontals, and really fascinating subject matter. Anyway, check out this little snippet of my conversation with Bill Maher about Back to the Future, and about some Johnny Carson, because I love Johnny Carson. Check it out. Like you and Seth MacFarlane had a great conversation that I thought was necessary and needed and healthy, and y'all went right back to laughing right after it. And those are just so important.
Right. That's the great thing about Club Random. First of all, it doesn't have to be political, and it mostly isn't. That's why I started a podcast, because I wanted to have people on, most people in show business. I mean, Seth's an exception. He just did real time. But most people in show business are really not right for doing real time, which is a show for people who really know what's going on, follow it, and can talk about it. We want the A team there. That's basically not celebrities. It's no knock on celebrities. It's just not what they do. So it's not political, but it can get political, because I have no agenda on Club Random. I don't do any preparation. The producer, the director, and the star of that show is marijuana. I mean, I'm just, so it's like wherever it's going to go, it's going to go. And it's especially fun for me with somebody like Seth, who's an old, dear friend. So, we can yell at each other and then, like you say, go back to laughing. And that's what life is. That's what my life is anyway. You talk. Sometimes you get to this place where you don't agree, and you get a little heated, and then 2 seconds later you're laughing, and that's the way it should be. And if we could all just do that politically, we'd be in a much better place.
Again, Bill Maher is going to be here in Houston March the 2nd. Tickets available at thehobbycenter.org. One quick follow-up on your Seth MacFarlane conversation that you had. Have you seen Back to the Future with him yet? Because inquiring minds need to know. I need to know if you've seen the greatest movie ever made yet.
You know what? I haven't. He wants us to watch it together in his screening room. By the way, he has the most amazing screening room. I don't know if you ever watched his show Cosmos, which is awesome, the one that Neil deGrasse Tyson hosted about, the universe and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you watch it there, it's like being in the Hayden Planetarium. It's amazing. So if I am going to do that, I mean, look, I probably should have seen Back to the Future by now. I certainly know it's an iconic movie, and people love it. I have not. It never looked like something that I would enjoy, but maybe it's the greatest movie ever. I'm kind of putting it off, but yes, I guess one night Seth and I will have a date night, and he better not try anything funny. That's all I have to tell you.
Well, the other great thing, I was just listening to your podcast, Whitney Cummings, and y'all were talking about the preparation for the Tonight Show, and you were one of the few people, not few people, but you're one of the fortunate people who got to do the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, and I'm obsessed with Johnny Carson in that era, and he was a kingmaker. Right. I even watched your first appearance on it this morning, which, by the way, all the jokes still hit. They still hit. Great bit about Federal Express and going to confessional of being part Jewish. Was a lot of great bits in there. But can you quickly just tell me, because I'm running out of time with you. I could talk to you forever.
Sure.
But could you tell me about that first Carson appearance and what it meant for you?
Oh, well, for every comic of that era, of my era, I mean, they'll tell you it was everything, because I don't know if we got into this with Whitney, but because I'm high when I do it, so I don't remember anything I said. But if you didn't do well on the Tonight Show that first time, you were kind of dead in show business. You could do other shows, because there were other talk shows at the time. Of course, Merv Griffin was on, and John Davidson, Dinah Shore there were other shows, but the Carson show, as you point out, that was the king. So you had to be very careful. They had a lot of rules, first of all, back then about when you could do other shows. It couldn't be very near the Tonight Show, and you always had to do your material on the Tonight Show first. That was very important. I mean, it was also silly, as if America was going to see you do a bit on Merv Griffin 2 months earlier and go, hey, what's going on here? I heard that joke on Merv Griffin. But, okay, we had to tiptoe around that for Johnny Carson. And so you could do not so great on some other show, but if you did bad on the Tonight Show, you were kind of dead. And I saw that happen to a couple of comics who bombed on the first one, and you never really got another chance. So the pressure was really, really on. Now, the good part of it was Johnny set it up for you. I mean, the crowd was cake. I mean, they were ready for a comedian. They were in a good mood. It was Johnny Carson. And when he went out there and said, comedy is the hardest commodity to find, which was complete bull, because comedy was not a hard commodity to find then. There was a new comedian every few weeks. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a new comedian. This was the 80s. This was the time of a bazillion comics. Dentists were doing comedy at stand-up clubs. So he'd give you this big build-up, like, the greatest. I remember when he brought out Jerry Seinfeld the first time. Here he is, Jeff Steinfeld. Well, Jeff did very well for himself, but so he did set it up well. And if you couldn't score there after you'd been in the business, I'd only been in the business 3 years when I did the Tonight Show.
Wow.
But at 3 years, come on, if you don't have 6 minutes of killer stuff in 3 years, then you don't belong in the business. So if you can't score with your best 6 minutes after that introduction from Johnny Carson here in California with a very relaxed audience, then you probably don't belong in there anyway.
Well, you know what? You're probably right there. And you know what? You're going to have more than 6 minutes for the people here in Houston, Texas at the Hobby Center. 90 minutes, killer material. And we can't wait to see it. Again, I could talk to you. I could talk to you forever. Again, What This Comedian Said Was Shock You is a book coming out. TheHobbyCenter.org is where you can get tickets for Bill Maher. Bill, thank you so much for taking the time, and just a pleasure speaking with you.
Pleasure with you, Brad. Let me tell you something. I do a few of these a year to talk to people. It's not always as much fun, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to me. Bill Maher, everyone.